Eyesight, hearing, touch, taste and smell present a model of the world that serves us very well. But what do our senses fail to pick up? Kant said we just can't tell. It's not a question of research or how deeply anyone delves. Beyond our five senses, we'll never find out the true nature of things in themselves. We simply can't know any more of the world if our senses won't show us the way. Kant had erected a barrier that seemed to be here to stay. Until cometh the hour, cometh Schopenhauer, with the fresh belief we can get underneath one thing that we see every day. It's one unique object we're linked to, a thing in itself per se, something we know through the senses and in a different additional way. The human body. The body, the answer, under Kant's nose. When we raise our arms, when we wiggle our toes, never mind our senses, something's going on inside, an invisible instruction as the inner will's applied. You tell your arm to rise, you tell your arm to fall. You see it as it happens, but clearly that's not all. You watch the arm's ascent and you're conscious of intent. Two real-time experiences of the very same event. One sensed on the surface, one sensed deep below. That deeper sense and inkling of what Kant said we can't know. The underlying reality, beneath the physicality, an energy, a vitality, an essence that never stands still. One thing in itself, the thing in itself, as Schopenhauer called it, will. Will is not just within us, Schopenhauer insists. Will is the energy driving the world, the life force by which it exists. Will is dynamic and vigorous. The verve, vavavoom, the zing, the indispensable fizzing inside every living and non-living thing. But this potent omnipresence that underlies reality does not possess a consciousness, a goal, or personality. As Schopenhauer admitted, he'd ideally have preferred to have used a more unconscious, neutral-sounding word, and not one where a purpose or intent could be inferred. To think will implies a deliberate act is an easy assumption to make, but he drummed it into his readers not to fall for this mistake. Will was the word he went for, and his reasoning was clear. It's because in our bodies and through our own will that we get the closest idea of will as the essence of energy, the go, the force, the drive, behind the blazing of galaxies and the animal urge to survive. Within material objects, too, this impulse careers around, a hint at the energy in all matter that Einstein later found. The World as Will and Representation, the best known of Schopenhauer's books, is a title describing what's under the surface and how, on the surface, it looks. In Schopenhauer's view of the universe, a divine force wasn't required. This is a world of pure raging will. There's no place for God. He's been fired. So what are the implications of a world where will is the master? For Schopenhauer, in every sense, it's a bloody disaster. Will is dynamic, kinetic, ceaseless, pointless, blind, unstoppable, unsympathetic, without sense, without end, without mind. And however it's represented, however it's understood, as a pitiless, purposeless energy, will is not a force for good. You just need to look at nature to see the evil of will, the cruelty and savagery as a creature makes a kill. How animals rip at their prey in cold blood, tearing them to pieces. The violence, the fear, the pain, the suffering never ceases. And what is true of animals is as true for the human race. Bloodshed, violence, suffering, injustice, then death, which we all have to face. And the underlying reality driving this brutality is will. And thanks to will, this world is hell, a dreadful place. And that's not all. There's more to will than the violence it spreads. Will gets into our psyche. Will lives inside our heads, firing up ambition and greed, inflating our sense of self-worth. We humans assume with our fabulous brains that it's we who rule the earth. But what is a human? A slave to will, full of cravings and desires that we strive to fulfill. And if we fulfill them, what happens then? A brief spell of boredom, then it all starts again. New cravings, new desires that we strive to fulfill. We swing on a senseless pendulum at the mercy of merciless will. The source of all trouble, will's infinite vigour, means we're eternally cursed. Life's a soap bubble. We blow bigger and bigger, knowing perfectly well it will burst.